Hello Stampers, welcome to my craft room and another episode of Card Play. Today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little bird card. I was actually out in the backyard watching the birds and remembered last year we actually saw one of Colorado's birds. It actually is our state bird called the lazuli bunting, and I thought, I bet I could make him. So to make this card, what I did was took my two-step bird punch, and I actually punched out a bird from a piece of scratch paper and went ahead and created a template for myself that I can use in the future for how to actually color my lazuli bunting, and I'll show you how I did that. So we're going to take a piece of Whisper white cardstock and just go ahead and punch out all those bird parts, and you get a wing and a bird and a branch. And then we're going to go ahead and color this bird. I'm going to start out with my Tempting Turquoise marker, and I use the brush side of this marker, and I want to make sure that I don't color his beak, so I'm going to go ahead and delineate his beak and then also delineate this area that I want to color, and just go ahead. I haven't colored in a long time, so this is a really fun project. And then I'm going to come in here with some of my Tangerine Tango, and the breast of the bird is Tangerine Tango in color, and I like making brush strokes like this so that it looks a little feathery. And then I'm going to take my Pink Pirouette marker, since he seems to get a little bit lighter down on this end. And then I'm going to take the Tempting Turquoise again and color the rest of him in. And I want to delineate this part of his head just a little bit, so if I go over this a little bit more, there's kind of a nice line there. I'm also going to take my basic gray marker, and this time I'm going to use the fine point to outline where his beak is, and to also start to create a little bit of a beak. So we'll make the top part nice and dark, and we'll go ahead and make the bottom part a little bit lighter. And to do that, I'm going to take my Bashful Blue marker, again just the fine point, and color just that little bit in. And we're also going to use the basic gray to create an eyeball. So just a round eye. We'll end up giving it some highlights in a little bit, but just nice and round like that. For his wing, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of Marina Mist, the brush side of this marker, and again trying to make it look a little bit like feathers. And I like using the light Bashful Blue again for the tip of his wing here. And for the end, a little bit darker, basic gray again, and just get the end of his wing, like so. To add highlights, I'm going to use my white gel pen, and I'm going to put some highlights on his wing. There's no magic to this, just a little bit of scribbling. And I'm going to put a little bit of scribbling on this pink part as well. And finally, I'm going to do a little bit of white to highlight his eye, just a tad, and then a little white dot to create the center of his eye. And we're going to take the branch, and I'm going to cover the branch with Pear Pizzazz, which is one of our great new in colors. And this is very simple, just color that whole branch. I'm going to take my Old Olive marker, and I'm just going to go ahead and gently get the edges of the cutout. I do the same thing with my bird. So I'll take the Marina Mist and go ahead and get the edge of the wing, and take my Tempting Turquoise, and get the top part of the bird, and then switch, and there you have it. We have our bird. So now we need to adhere our bird together. Here's an example of the bird all put together, and we want to just go ahead and take a dimensional to put onto our little wing, and then place that wing where you like it and push. Now what we're going to need is our card base. I started out with a piece of Very Vanilla, and this piece is 3.5 inches by 7 inches. This finished card size is going to be 3.5 by 3.5, so a cute little note card. And we're going to need 2 layers. We're going to need an old olive cardstock layer. This piece is 3.25 inches by 3 inches. And we're also going to need a crumb cake layer. This layer is 3 inches by 2 3/4 inches. So that's going to create all of our layers. We're going to take our soft suede sponge and also our soft suede classic Stampin' Pad, and I'm just going to sponge up these edges. Also on the old olive. The next thing we're going to do is make our small greeting. To do that, we're going to take our scrap piece of crumb cake cardstock. We're also going to take this small stamp, the Thanks So Much stamp, which comes from the Tiny Tag stamp set. A lot of small little greetings in here. And we're going to use, once again, our soft suede ink. And we're just going to ink up that stamp, stamp it down, and then we're going to take our Tiny Tag punch and we're going to turn it upside down, and we're going to punch out that tiny greeting, like so. Then we're going to also sponge the edges of this greeting so that it pops up off the page, again using the soft suede ink. Great. And finally, for the little greeting, we're going to take our piercing mat and we're going to take our piercing tool. We're going to make a little bit of a hole right here at the end, and we're going to use that hole to thread some linen thread. You need, I don't know, about a 3-inch piece or 2.5-inch piece just to make it easy to work with, and you're going to thread the linen thread through the little hole you just created and pull it through. And we're going to knot that twice. So just tie it first in one knot and then knot it one more time. And we're just going to take our scissor to go ahead and clip off the edge, leaving about 1/4 inch. Great. So now we have all of our pieces. Let's go ahead and put this card together. We're going to take our 3.5 by 3.5 card, and first we're going to snail our old olive layer, and the next layer is going to be our crumb cake layer. And we're going to go ahead and use a little bit of Tombow Mono multi-glue to adhere our branch. We're going to put our branch down on the card. Great. Last but not least, we're going to use a dimensional to pop our bird up onto that branch. We'll put him there, and the greeting we're going to put right about there, and we're going to use a dimensional to do that too. One thing I like to do with my dimensionals, you can see it here, is I actually like to cut them in half when I'm dealing with really small pieces like this Thanks So Much piece. So now we have half a dimensional, which is the perfect size for this tiny tag. Place that little greeting right on there. We're going to use our crystal effects to shine him up. And I like to do this as my last step because it does take time for this crystal effects to dry. So you want to make sure you're barely touching the tip to the paper, and you don't want to leave any blank spot. And now I'm going to set that aside to dry, and that's it. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Card Play. I hope you've enjoyed learning how to make this beautiful little lazuli bunting, and I look forward to seeing you again here in the craft room.